I'll just take a quick walk through on how I've done this. I will take pictures with some explanation to go along with that. I did start out with a Nordic track machine, and you can see this is the wheel in the center here, and the rollers that come along with it are the piece that you really need to make it work like that. If you don't have a Nordic track machine, you can look at one-way clutch drive rollers, and they would do the same thing if you were trying to convert something like a rowing machine into something like this. Oftentimes you saw people making them where they had the boat piece for trailering right there. I did originally have that on, and I found that the rope was going different directions on it. It squeaked, it slowed things down, it chattered a little bit, so I went just with an eye hook there, and that seems to be very smooth. It works very well. You can see I've kept the original frame of the Nordic track, and the reason I did that is because I knew that it would be fastened properly, it would be secure, and it would be true. The main piece is made out of a piece of 2x6, and that travels the length. At the end I've put a seat. This was made with a little piece of leftover 2x10 and an angled piece of 2x4 that goes along with it. I have put it on Velcro so you can adjust the seat forward and back. You can see that I've got a foot plate here. I know that some people, when they make these, if they're doing it with K1 kayaks, they like to have the little rudder to put between the feet. And you can see the rockers. I made these out of 2x10, and that seems to work well for me. I know you can make them out of different things. And I think what I'll do now is flip it over so you can see what's on the underside. Alright, if you take a look on the bottom, you can see that where I put the rounded pieces to make the rocker, I've just put a little piece of 2x6 there to give it a little bit of strength. At the end, many of them just have two pulleys that look to be clothesline type that they enclose and use one spring. I found that it ran a little bit more smoothly using 1.5-inch springs, I believe, pulleys, and then attaching them with springs. If you follow the rope up, it goes to the next pulley, which is attached by a spring to the front. I've added an extra spring here. You don't really need it, but with the weight of the pulley, depending if the rope went a little bit slack, it could bounce and hit the floor, and this just kept it off of the floor. As the ropes come forward, you can see I've drilled 2 holes to allow them to pass. Comes up through the front and through the eyes and around the rollers. So that's the basic mechanism of it. I've used the original strap here for tension. And on the other side, you may have noticed I've got a hook that you can tighten. That's sort of a makeshift way. Depending on the Nordic track that you've got, you may be able to salvage the adjuster, and that would just make it a little bit easier. One thing to mention is the paddles, and what I found is that you don't want to drill your holes straight through. You want to match them to how you've got your paddle set up so it has the same feather in your paddle, and that way when you're building muscle memory, it's just going to help you out when you get on the water. So anyway, I will put some written instructions along with photos, but this is basically how it's made.